Worthen Arena for tonight's WCRH Sports presentation of Cardinal men's basketball. The Ball State Cardinals are 12-7 on the season. Good evening, I'm Justin Herber, joined alongside Coach Randy Litchfield. Coach, what can we expect to see from the Cardinals tonight?
Tonight I think is a very interesting matchup, especially for Ball State, because we came off a huge win last night against 11th ranked Lewis, and that's an interconference win. You know, tonight on a normal night, I think you could say it would be a little difficult to step out of conference play and play George Mason, but bottom line is these two teams have been rivals for a very long time, and I would anticipate this to be one heck of a volleyball match.
Well, the one thing about the Cardinals is they've done it at home. They're 9-1 on their home court this year, and 4-6 away, so hopefully being home tonight will be an advantage for them as well.
Well, you know, from a coaching perspective, I can relate to that because our women's team has been very good here at home as well, and the men are, as you said, are 9-1 here and have played by far their best volleyball here on their home court. And you know, the nice thing about this time of year, Justin, is that, you know, we're getting close to NCAA tournament time, and at Ball State, I think they realize that if they can get hot, as they did last night, and can carry that through, and I think tonight is an important match from that respect, that good things could happen towards the early parts of May.
And as you said, Coach, George Mason and Ball State have a long rivalry. They're coming in town tonight. They're on a long winning streak themselves, 8 games in a row, coming out from IPFW last night. They swept the Mastodons 3-0, so they're coming in here on a roll.
Absolutely, and you know, that win against IPFW last night at IPFW, which is another very difficult place to play, I think that proves that George Mason has their program back intact. And from that respect, Ball State and George Mason are a little bit comparable. Both had not rough years last year, but certainly down years by their own statements. And I think that George Mason is certainly back. They've had a very nice year so far, and I think Fred Chow has an awful lot to be proud of.
Well, as you said, Coach, last night the Ball State Cardinals took on Lewis right here at Worthen Arena and came up with a big win. Lewis was undefeated. Doug Market came in and got 21 kills, and just, it was obviously a good performance for Ball State to show that, you know, they're turning this season around, which they got off to a slow start, and last night was a big win for them.
Well, the name you just mentioned to me, Justin, Doug Market, is the biggest key to the Ball State season. Doug Market has had some injury problems and some health problems in his career. Just when we thought he was getting over his injury problems, he attracted a virus of some sort, which held him out of several matches. And when he's been out of the lineup, Ball State has struggled. They've struggled with their emotions, and they've struggled with that big, powerful put-away type hitter. And Doug was back in the lineup last night, and he was back in grand style, and he had a big night for the Cards.
So some of the keys for tonight's game will be, of course, for Doug Market to step up again, as well as Denmark and the freshman Keith Chunsel.
Absolutely. We have a much more physical team, to be quite honest with you, than George Mason does. The Ball State team would like to see this match played in front of the attack line, and that's the 3-meter line that is up very near the net. George Mason, on the other hand, would like to see this match played a lot more in the backcourt. They're more of a serving, passing, digging-oriented team. So we've got two contrasting styles, and I'll tell you, when you have that in a volleyball match, you usually have an exciting match, and it's always interesting to see who's going to come out on top.
All right, well, stay tuned. We're going to come back with the match between Ball State and the George Mason Patriots right here on WCRH Sports.
Okay, class, tomorrow night's college night. Think about your needs.
I need a well-respected degree.
I need to explore. I need a ticket to the world.
Ball State University, everything you need.
Ball State Sports Online. Schedule, results, headline, features, statistics, game note, team pages, video and audio clip, biography, email, Ball State link, daily updates. Your only online source for all the latest in Ball State sports. www.bsu.edu/sports.
Okay, class, tomorrow night's college night. Think about your needs.
I need to be inspired. I need personal attention from professors who care.
I need a kick in the...
Ball State University, everything you need.
Throughout the 1990s, Cardinal Varsity Club has provided hundreds of thousands of dollars to support Ball State student athletes in 21 sports, and their work has paid off handsomely. Among all NCAA Division I-A schools, Ball State ranks in the top 10 in athlete graduation rates and the number of GTE academic All-Americans, a distinction no other university in Indiana can match. Cardinal Varsity Club, helping Ball State student athletes achieve on the field and in the classroom.
And welcome to Worthen Arena for exciting men's volleyball action. Tonight, the Ball State Cardinals will be taking on the George Mason Patriots. I am Justin Herber alongside Coach Randy Litchfield. Exciting match. We have two teams coming in on a roll. Ball State has won 5 out of their last 6, and George Mason has won 7 out of their last 8.
Very long history of success out of these two programs here, Justin. Ball State and George Mason, little known fact as we watch the lineups out on the floor, little known fact that this is the matchup of the canning jar. Of course, the Ball family founded the Ball canning jar industry, and over at George Mason, of course, the Mason jar. So we're not only going to decide tonight who the best volleyball team is, we may also decide who makes the best canning jar, and my money's on Ball.
I'm going to have to put my money on Ball as well. George Mason is coached by Frank Chow, and over, of course, on Ball State, third-year head coach Joel Walton.
And Justin, what you typically see in men's volleyball, because there are so few teams competing at this kind of level, is that both teams are coached by alums. Fred Chow played for George Mason, and of course, Mr. Joel Walton competed for the Ball State Cardinals. That really keeps it in the family. and I think it's what allows for the great rivalries we see in men's volleyball.
Yep. Do you think that Coach Walton is starting to come into his own and out of the shadow of Dr. Shundell?
Well, what a tough job. I've always felt for Joel having to step into that role. But you carve your own niche, and I think Joel's doing an excellent job of that. His team is starting to respond to his way of coaching, and the results now are becoming obvious as they become healthier. They're producing, and tonight I think is a big night to continue that.
All right, and one of the things that Coach Walton has always talked about is, he's got 3 guys that are, and he's got a deep team, but he says he's got 3 guys, and that Tom Tegetoff, Denmark, and of course Doug Market. And those 3 guys are the basis of this team, and they're the ones that have to have a big game tonight.
Absolutely. I was initially concerned at the start of the year about the setting situation with Keith Schunzel, and less concerned about some of the other players. But I've got to say that Keith Schunzel has really stepped in and held his own and performed at a real high level for Ball State for such a young setter. So when you've got a setter that can do that, then it puts the impetus on the 3 studs that we just talked about. And so far, Matt Denmark, Tom Tegetoff, and Doug Market, especially last night, really came through for the Cards.
Yes, they did. George Mason is going to start off the serving here. Last night at the Lewis game, Schunzel showed, for a freshman, showed a lot of leadership out on the court. I was real surprised, but
he does have an advantage of being a redshirted freshman. Yet, for a young guy, first time out on the court, running a team at this level, he's done a remarkable job, and he does have incredible leadership qualities. He's a very tough guy, and I like seeing that out of a setter.
Yeah, he was like getting right in the referee's face, and I was really. Here we go. We're going to start the action here. Market with a nice off speed there to full base. I think they were expecting the jam there, and he just kind of put it over their heads.
Absolutely. That's not necessarily Doug Market's game, but a very smart, crafty shot.
Especially when they weren't expecting it.
The best time for it.
Now Market to serve. Hit the net, play on.
New rule change this year. Serves that hit the net are legal and play on, as you said.
Give the kill there to Art Cullens. George Mason ties the game at 1.
One of the strengths of the George Mason team is their setter, and we're going to have to keep an eye on him. Fred Chow is very high on him as we see a stuff block.
A nice block there by Jason Wright. It is now 2-1. George Mason and Jonathan Hanners will continue to serve. Not a real powerful serve, just kind of puts it over. And Jason Wright there again.
Using George Mason using the short zone serve, and sure looked like there was a net violation there that was.
Schunzel wanted one. He was trying to get one. The line judge would have none of it. And Sasson.
New to the lineup, and Coach Walton has been high on him. It took him a little while to work himself into the lineup, but I think this lineup with Fasshauer hitting on the outside is paying dividends for Coach.
Sasson with a kind of an awkward looking jump serve, but effective nonetheless. And Tegetoff tried to put that over, but Mason was right there to put it back over the net. And George Mason gets the serve back. Schunzel sets. Fasshauer.
Ball State did a nice job there of starting their offense with a good pass. The idea in volleyball, out of serve reception, when the other team is serving, is to make sure that you get the ball directly on top of your setter's head. Then he can distribute the sets from that position.
Another sort of unorthodox play. I don't think they meant it to happen that way, but it counts.
It's obvious both teams are coming off of wins last night that were pretty emotional, because play is a little bit sloppy right now, but they'll find their legs pretty soon, and this will become a pretty high-played match, I'm sure.
Mello to serve. And they say it's out.
Very, very close. Lines judge Rob Painter wanted to call it in, but thought better of it.
Tegetoff to serve. And this one's up for grabs. Another little off speed by Market. We got ourselves a little rally going now.
The officials are certainly allowing them to play early on here. There's been several plays that appeared to be mishandled that were allowed.
And Hall hits the free ball over, and it happens to get a point for Ball State.
Josh Hall, he is in a different colored uniform, which means he is the libero.
Yeah.
He is not allowed to jump and attack the ball, which is why he gave a very simple little free ball. He's a back row player. You'll see him come in and out for the big middles in the Cardinal squad, and he will pass and dig balls.
Jason Wright got the kill there. Now he'll serve. Hall, Schunsel. Marquette slams it down.
That's a big swing. That's more of what you would expect out of Doug Marquette. He's tipped his first couple shots, and maybe that's a strategy just to get George Mason to creep forward a little bit, and then he swings away and catches him in the head with one.
Denmark to serve. And that one stayed in. Some Ball State players got the tip on that, but point George Mason.
That's the smallest block that Ball State puts up is with Sesson and Schunzel. Both guys about 6'3", 6'4". And believe it or not, the rest of these guys are about 6'8", 6'9".
Yeah. This Ball State squad is much taller than George Mason.
And I don't know if that comes through across people's TVs at home, but sitting down here on floor level is very obvious. There's perhaps a 3, 4, 5-inch height differential almost across the board here.
Point Ball State. Schunsel will serve. Game is tied at 7. And right there,
that's Chris Barnes.
Chris Barnes knocking that one down.
And he is a rather undersized middle, but it looks like he's got some springs and put that ball away safely.
There's a couple points in a row. So far, neither team has been able to really get on a roll. It's been kind of matching points for points. But there's 2 in a row from Mason. Schunsel to set. Fasauer couldn't put it down. Nice dig by George Mason.
That's where they want the game to be played. They want to play defense.
Fasauer tries again. And score him the kill on that one. Point Ball State.
Justin, I think one thing we're going to want to watch as this match progresses is that Ball State was in a very long, hard-fought, emotional match last night and came out on the winning end, which you always want to do in those kinds of matches, whereas George Mason had a relatively short and quick blowout of Fort Wayne. There's a let serve that almost fell. But fatigue can play a role in a match like this.
Yeah, it really can, especially as emotional as last night's game was.
Exactly.
And that one kind of catches Tegetov by surprise and score the point for George Mason. Yeah, it was like Ball State had to make a big comeback. They were down 2-1, and then a hard-fought 5th set, which went back and forth, point for point.
Game ones are the hardest when you play a match like that, and then followed up on the next night like we are tonight. But you'd like to think that we'll find our legs here in a little bit and get a little bit more emotional about this match.
And the reigning MIVA Player of the Week to serve.
He's had a nice way to go since he's been put into the lineup. And I think he's an interesting player because Sesson comes out of the Israeli army. He's got a maturity level that I'm sure that most college athletes do not in light of the problems that they're having in the Middle East. So you've got to have a lot of respect for a guy like that, and then he travels across the pond and chooses to play Division I volleyball.
Yeah, after being in the Israeli army, playing some Division I college volleyball doesn't seem like so hard of a task.
Absolutely not.
And Hall or Market couldn't come up with that. Point George Mason. They now lead 12-10.
And a guy like Sesson, who has left the lineup, by the way, now for the libero position, but a guy like that can bring a lot to the floor. I think he a nice leader. These guys out here are young guys ranging from 18 to 22 years old as the Cardinals continue to struggle a little bit.
A big block there.
But a guy like Amatai on the floor who has seen things that really none of us have seen before and lived through those things, I think can bring a lot to a team. And I'm not too surprised to see us changing our way of playing with him in the lineup.
And Denmark is there to knock it over the other side, but George Mason keeps it alive. Schunsel to take it off. Oh, and they get the point there. I thought maybe he got the dig, but referee says it hit the ground.
We needed a statement swing like that. We had not gotten very good swings the last 4 or 5 attempts, and Tom put on one there.
Just out of bounds on that one there. Beautifully set up there by George Mason, though.
Jason Wright is number 7 for George Mason, is perhaps one of the smallest attacking players that you'll see in a lineup. That's a good dig.
Jason Wright. Only 6 feet tall.
That's a very undersized player for the opposite position, which is normally a very big blocking attacking position.
A little rally here for Ball State. It's now 13-13.
It's amazing how often with Ball State volleyball that you see Matt Denmark on the very end of a great swing like that. Good to see Keith get him involved in the match early. He's our most emotional player by far, Jason, is Matt Denmark. And you've sensed us being a little emotionally flat here early on. And it's a good thing to get him started. And there he blocks the ball.
Nice block by Denmark. That was one thing I was going to say. It seemed that George Mason had been getting more blocks than we had, and we're much taller. But right there, Denmark was there to get Ball State the point, and we now lead 15-13. And as we go to a timeout.
Well, that's a good timeout for Coach Chow. He's saw his team having all the best of it early, and then the match seemed to transition about 6 plays ago, and we saw Matt Denmark with a kill and a block there. We saw Tom Tegetoff with a big swing for a kill, and one of Ball State volleyball.
One of their shots went out of balance. Good time for a timeout at that point. You don't want to. You got a good chance to win this first set. You don't want it to get away from you.
Volleyball may be the biggest momentum sport of all.
Yes.
And coaches have got to use their timeouts, and of course you only get 2, but coaches have got to be able to use their timeouts to stave off those long rallies, and George Mason will look to come out of this right away with a pass set and a kill.
So far, Amitas Hassan leads the team with 3 kills. Doug Market also has 2, and Paul Fassauer has 2. Right now, we're back to action, and Tegetoff will serve.
There's a dig by Ball State. That's good to see.
Good dig. And Market, as they said, had a net violation. He was over the net.
Exactly. Doug Market did not give their setter a fair chance to set the ball. You may only go across the net and make a play on a ball if the ball has broken the plane of the net.
Yes.
And Doug was clearly over on that one.
Schunsel to Denmark, and he knocks it down.
Well, Matt Denmark has become a big part of this match here in the last 4 or 5 points.
That's about him. As he knocks that down there, it's pretty much impossible to dig. Denmark to serve. And
talk a little bit about Matt Denmark as he leaves the lineup here for the libero position. But Matt Denmark is one of the most physical volleyball players in the country. He's about 6'9" and jumps huge, touches almost 12 feet. And,
nice block by George Mason.
Absolutely. Keith Schunsel uses the left hand there.
And George Mason digs that one out. Market with the off speed again. He catches him this time. Just totally confusing Mason. They have no idea what he's going to do. It seems a very smart idea to come out and do those off speeds right at the beginning.
The 3rd time he's done that. Normally a player likes to establish the hard shot early and then go to the soft shot. And he's doing it a little bit the opposite.
Oh, and it's probably different from any film they've seen of Doug Market.
Exactly. I'm sure there's a scouting report involved in those shots because I don't see him use the soft shot real often. There's the let serve again. That is legal for the first time this year.
Sesson's there to put it away. And Ball State leads 18-16. For anyone that maybe hadn't seen a volleyball telecast, 2 years ago the men went to the format of no side outs. We played a 30. instead of the 15 with side outs. Everything counts for a point, just if someone was watching and is really confused.
Exactly.
We wanted to make sure everyone knew that. Ball State keeping it alive. Schunsel to Market. A nice dig there by George Mason. Schunsel sets it again to Tegetov. A blocked, and it's going to fall down. Give Tegetov the kill on that one.
Well, the rally scoring, or the point per play scoring, as some like to call it, has been, I think, an interesting addition. Designed primarily for television purposes, makes a match a little bit more predictable in length, especially in men's volleyball. In men's volleyball, they're so powerful and they side out so easily that it would take forever to score points.
Yeah.
And it was nothing for a match to last 3 hours plus. So what we've done now, and last night we saw a 5-hour match, a great match, intense match that lasted exactly 2 hours long, and that is what television likes. I'm sure our fans tonight watching will appreciate that.
And they're going to go to that in women next year.
Exactly, first time for him. We played.
How do you feel about that, Coach?
We played with that all day today down at a tournament at Butler, and we've experimented with it in the past, and personally I like it. I think it's more exciting for everybody concerned. The score doesn't get stuck.
Nice block by George Mason.
And once again, a very undersized block by Division I men's volleyball standards, but nice jumping ability, nice penetration. You may reach your hands over the net to block, and the idea is to get the ball on the floor as quick as possible.
And that was a free ball.
Ball State having some passing problems right now as George Mason jumps up to a 2019 lead.
And Ball State's going to take the timeout. I think Market hit that one just a little bit harder than he intended to, and it just got over the net, which served to the advantage of George Mason.
Well, as I mentioned before, the idea when you pass a serve with your forearms is to try to put the ball directly on top of the setter's head so that he can run the offense from a perfect location. Unfortunately, Doug put that ball right on the top of a George Mason player's head, and usually that ends in a kill, which we saw directly.
So right now the score is George Mason 20, Ball State 19, as Ball State is in a timeout. Coach Worthen trying to get his troops back into the in the flow of this game. They had some momentum starting to go, and just started to lose there after the George Mason timeout.
Well, I think that Coach Worthen knows that game one is not going to be his team's best performance. And what you try to do as a coach there is you try to find a way to get your team to gut out the win. And you know it's going to get easier after game one because you're going to get back in the flow of competing.
There we saw a nice spike by Denmark. We're going to need to see more of that if Ball State is going to win this first match. Now we have Jonathan Hanners to serve again.
I've been paying a little attention to him. Hanners is a nice setter. He's a very nice player, and Fred Chow mentions him a lot when you read articles about the George Mason squad. That he thinks he's the biggest reason that George Mason has turned their team around is that he's become a much more accurate setter.
Market had trouble with that last one again, but Sasson is there for that one and knocks that one down. Give Ball State the point. Now he's going to get rewarded and serve it over. Just coincidental, of course, but
these 10 points of a rally to 30 are where the match is. It's a little bit like watching NBA basketball where you can turn it on in the fourth quarter and catch all the best stuff. And in a 30-point rally game, once teams get to point 20, it is going to be cutthroat volleyball. And this is big-time stuff right now. And Ball State's looking for a way to gut this one out.
Right again. This one was way long. But a Ball State player obviously tipped that. And credit the point to George Mason.
Exactly. That ball was touched perhaps by the block and in the backcourt, a double touch.
I think so.
And only one's needed.
And Fassauer hits it in there, and it counts.
A most important side out right there, Justin. You cannot go down 24-20
Not
in a rally scoring game.
Yep.
Makes it very difficult.
Big point there for Ball State.
We need one with our defense right now.
The let serve. Right again.
There we go. George Mason screaming for a touch, but I did not see one.
I didn't see one either. But of course, I'd be doing the same thing if I was on the other side, doing anything I could. But man, that right, he's impressive. 6 foot. The way he can get up is incredible. It's going to be right again.
They're right back to him.
Schunsel, the fast hour, blocked. Point, George Mason.
Justin, you mentioned it earlier. George Mason, for an undersized volleyball team, by our comparison, sure gets up and blocks balls, and that's interesting to me.
Here's the replay there as you see that just incredible leaping ability by Wright as he gets up and blocks it. And that one was out of bounds. They have a service there. Ball State will
breathe a sigh of relief there. That ball was pretty close.
Yep.
Let's see if Mason doesn't find Wright again. He seems to be the tiger of that team. They went away from him.
Nice block by Ball State.
And might regret it.
Yep. They went to Art Collins on that one, and he got up, but it was blocked by Denmark. Right there, as you see.
Art saw a lot of action last night, but he did not produce a lot of stats in last night's match.
No, he didn't.
We saw the serving error there. Serving errors become very difficult to deal with after point 20 in these rally to 30s.
Well, it's the servers become much more crucial in this format because, I mean, as we just saw just there,
there's a fine balance.
You lose a point.
You don't want to go back and serve so easy that you give the other team easy offense and an easy side out for a point. But by the same token, it's hard to, from a coach sitting there on the bench, it's hard to swallow those errors at this stage of a game.
And we have a substitution and a timeout.
That timeout might have been called to ice Juan Carlos Lopez, the substitute for Ball State, into the backcourt. He gets in one time a game. Usually serves, plays once through the backcourt. And in the men's volleyball, outside of the libero rule, each substitute is allowed one entry, and they're done. So Juan Carlos gets his entry usually late in games. And you know, it's a tough role to play because he could be a little bit cold. He's cooled off on the bench, and yet he's got to come in and he's got to serve a tough ball here at 25-25. I'm sure that's why Mason called the timeout here. They're going to make him think about this one a little bit.
But he's also, you know, Lopez is also used to that role.
Absolutely.
So it's, you know, just like, you know, teams have free throw shooters that come in. Yeah, they're cold, but they're used to being in that position. So I don't predict that Lopez will have any trouble here, but we will see as he gets ready to serve.
He's a fighter. I've always liked him, and comes from Puerto Rico. And there's a dig.
Nice dig by Fassauer. Got to put it over here, mark it. Free ball.
Soft shot for a kill.
Giving Market a little bit of his own medicine on that one there. It was Collins.
Ball State had a great defensive scheme there. They had both blockers up on that quick attack and forced the hitter. That was not a shot by choice. They forced that hitter to hit that shot. You'd like to see that ball picked up with the defense.
Market gets blocked on that one. George Mason gets up once again and makes it a nice block. And now we're at 27-25. So Ball State needs to stop here if they want to get this first set. Hard jump serve. Schunsel to Market. Blocked again.
Well, Doug just hit two in a row. I'm not even sure they got to the block. I think they went into the middle portion, upper middle portion of the net. And that's not very good swings for a big guy like that. But he don't be too surprised if he's not a little bit tired from last night. He's been out of the lineup now for a while with the viral infection, and last night got a lot of swings in a 2-hour match.
Well, he had 21 kills, so he got himself a workout last night. And if you're just coming off an illness, that'll drain you more than it usually would.
But we'll see. Joel Walton's going to have to keep an eye on him probably at this stage of the game. We'll see if what they choose to do. They're going to call a play in this timeout right here, and I'm sure that Keith Schunsel is going to get instructions of where to go with this ball, and I'll be curious what kind of confidence Joel has in Doug Market at this stage right now.
We have a replay here as we see Matt Denmark getting the slam home there for the kill. And here come the Cardinals. It'll be interesting if this play goes to Market. I bet they'll go to Amita or some other option on this one here.
This is a tough rotation because the setter is the front row, which means there are only 2 attacking players instead of 3. So they may go to the back row with Tom Tegetoff.
Schunzel takes him himself, and it
Just tipped it out of bounds.
just misses the line. You wonder if that was designed or if that was just a spur-of-the-moment decision he made. And that one's out of bounds.
I think he made that call spur of the moment, Justin. And by the look of, by his reaction after he did it, I used to wear his uniform out there as a setter for Ball State, and I remember doing that on occasion. You'd like to have it back. There's the defensive play.
I wish I would have caught the reaction of Worthen after that one. And Kate's beautiful shot by Doug Market.
Super shot.
He saw where the empty spot was in the cart and just placed it perfectly.
He's tipped short 3 times, I believe, in this game 1, and that time he drew the defense short and went over their heads.
And Schunzel keeps this game alive. Cullens, couldn't dig it out of there. And George Mason takes our first game 30-27.
And I've got to say, on the shoulders of Jason Wright.
Yes, definitely. We are going to go to a quick break here, and we will be back for the second game of this match between Ball State and the George Mason Patriots on WCRH Sports.
Tomorrow night's college night. Think about your needs.
I need to be challenged. I need to be my own boss. I need to be his boss too.
Ball State University, everything you need.
Hello, I'm Frank Sabatine, and I'm looking for a few good teachers. Teachers who want to renew their license or complete a graduate degree. Through Ball State University School of Continuing Education and Public Service, we have everything you need to complete your studies without leaving your community. Our distance education program offers live satellite, online, or face-to-face courses offered at local high schools throughout the state. So call us or take a look at us on the web, because Ball State University has everything you need.
And we are back for the second set of this match between Ball State Cardinals and the George Mason Patriots. George Mason took the first game in a hard-fought one that was back and forth most of the time, 30-27. And some interesting stats from the from the first set are. Well, we have some interesting ones there, Coach.
Well, I was made out for a fool in that one, Justin. Ironically, George Mason outblocked Ball State 9 blocks to 4. And I said that clearly they were a team that was designed to play in the backcourt, but they outblocked us, played a very physical net-style game. And then to add further insult to my injury, Ball State outdug George Mason. So
just the opposite of what we thought was going to happen in this one. But
I'm very impressed with George Mason's net play. Jason Wright, who is listed at 6 foot tall, and that may be a generous offering for him, maybe more like 5'11", is a big-time net player and has no problem up there with the 6'9" boys.
Well, going down the roster, I mean, they have a couple guys at 6'6", and we haven't even called their name. So you would assume that this was a team that could dig it out and put it over the net, but they have been right up there blocking with the best of them. I mean, height doesn't have everything to do with it. If you got great jumping ability.
I'm about 6'1", and I often look, and I was a pretty good player here for Ball State, but I often look out here and I say there's no way I could play in today's game because the guys are all so big. But Jason Wright is doing all of guys like me right tonight. No pun intended.
No pun intended there. Barnes fakes. And that point's going to go to George Mason as Andre Mello puts it over for the kill.
You don't see a lot of left-handers hitting out here on the left side because the ball has to travel across their body, and it's a little bit more of a difficult swing. And he's actually moving to the opposite spot now. So they're doing some matchup stuff with him and Jason Wright.
Denmark gets the kill on that one. And now Market will serve.
Well, we called Denmark's name a lot during the middle portion of that game one, where we caught fire, and I thought he was a big part of it. And then late, he was not involved. Actually, we got caught in some bad rotations, and he was on the bench.
Give Market the ace on that one, as it kind of just went in no man's land there, right in between the first and second rows. And point Ball State, 2-1. Market to serve again. Let service. Barnes up. Mello knocks it over, and Ball State can't come up with it. Got a piece of it, but couldn't put it back over the net.
Mello off to a good start here in game two.
Here's the replay of it. We got a piece of that one there, but Tegetov just couldn't get to it. Or no, that was Windell.
Tom Tegetov is having a pretty good start to his night tonight. We'll look for Keith Schunzel to get him a little bit more involved, maybe take a little of the pressure off of Doug Market.
Then Mark to serve. Just outside the line.
It's a good miss. You'll take those misses.
Yeah, it was a good looking serve though, but just out. Because if that's just in, we're praising him for having a perfect serve. Mello now to serve. Dug by Market. Fassauer knocks it over.
That'll get Fassauer back to the 0 hitting percentage. He was languishing in the negative category there in game one.
That one would have been out. Mason hits it anyway. Nice block. Ball State keeps it alive. A free ball. Over. Ball State digs that one out. And we're giving the point to Ball State. I'm not sure why.
Mason is arguing that Ball State passed a free ball early in that rally outside the antenna.
Oh, okay.
And now setter John Hanners is arguing that he attempted to set the ball with the Ball State middle blocker reaching over and interfering with his attempt to set.
Refs wouldn't hear it. Now Windell's going to serve. Nice dig by Mello. Wright
Great shot
over.
by Jason Wright. It was Doug, even a better dig.
It's going to be for Mello. A nice block by Ball State. Ball State keeps this rally going. Fassauer hits it over.
Ball was attacked off of the block and then into the antenna.
Collins gets the kill for that one. Ball State tried to get the block.
Those are sometimes some of the toughest calls in volleyball. You don't know whether the ball hit the antenna and then the block, but that was clearly off the block and then into the antenna, which is out of bounds.
Right, with just a perfect serve, right in that no man's land area. Doug Market tried to dig it out, but give Wright the ace. 5-5 now.
Jason Wright invokes a lot of topspin on his attacks, which and his serves, his jump serves. And topspin, what it'll do, just like in tennis with a topspin forehand or a topspin backhand, it will snap the ball down into the court. And what happened there was Ball State got caught back on their heels a little bit, and that ball just cranked straight down in front of the defense.
Another good serve. Hall digs it out. Tegetov gets it over the net.
Ball State right now is not getting a lot of clean swings at the ball without a big George Mason block being present in front of them. And even though that was a kill, there was a triple block in front of him, and those will wear you out if you have to swing at too many of those all night long.
But nonetheless, Ball State gets the point. That serve just out of bounds.
Ball State serving very well right now and missing close. And from Joel's seat over there on the Ball State bench, he'll be happy with that. You're challenging with your serve and having good misses.
Schunzel decides to take it himself.
You'll see there that when Keith Schunzel is in the front row, he's allowed to attack, even though he is a setter. And because he only has 2 attackers up there with him, when normally he would have 3, it's often a benefit for the setter to attack himself. And there he used his left hand and put a good swing on the ball.
Wright, once again.
Jason Wright out of the back row on a D set, we call that.
He's really just stepped up in this game for George Mason tonight. Collins to serve. Denmark gets it over. Mason keeps it alive. Barnes puts it in Hall's face. Hall shows no reaction though. He just shakes it off. Says, let's do it again.
You've got to do that. You show no reaction on a play like that.
And Windell sends one into the crowd. Give him the kill.
And
Ball State ties it at 8.
Unlike baseball, the crowd will throw that ball back into play.
If not, I think someone will come up asking for it. So
that's exactly. Those are about $45 a piece. So
Schunzel to serve now. Mello gets blocked by Windell.
Really nice block. Just didn't quite get it turned into the court.
I thought it landed in, but it didn't. I mean, it wasn't close, but I didn't see it. Give the point to George Mason. Anders will serve. Hall to Schunzel to Denmark.
Schunzel obviously trying to get Matt Denmark established into this match.
It's a good thing too. Really need to get him going in this one. Yeah, take some of the stress off of Market as Market serves. And that might be a sign of maybe some of his a little bit of worn out there. Didn't get it over the net.
Ball State is playing a pretty good game too here, with the exception of serving. So you're giving away 3 or 4 easy points this game so far, and take those away, and we've got a handily lead here.
And Schunzel sets up Denmark again for a beautiful spike. Give Ball State the 10-10 tie now.
That one might have dented the floor, Justin. We're going to have to bring the crew out to repair the floor.
Denmark to serve now. That's going to be for Claney. And he gets it down. And once again in this match, neither team can get any momentum going. It's going back and forth, point for point.
Serving errors will destroy that, Justin. When you feel like your team's getting into the flow of the match and you're playing pretty well, the last thing you want is a bunch of serving errors.
And Windell puts it down.
Great swing there, Windell.
Mello tried to get a piece of it, couldn't quite get to it. And Ball State ties it again. Windell's going to serve. Great dug by Mello.
Great topspin serve there.
Collins gets it. Ball State keeps it alive. Schunzel. Tegetov gets blocked. Ball State keeps it alive. Tegetov again. That one goes out. Point, George Mason.
Tom tried to hit the air out of that ball. Just got little.
He wanted to kill it.
Just got a little loose with it.
Right to serve. Oh, watch out.
Well, that's about the first thing we've seen him do wrong tonight.
Yeah, that's mistake number 1. But kind of took off the back of Collins' head there.
Let's see if Hanners doesn't go right back to right in this situation.
Goes to Cullen. Schunzel gets a piece of it, but it goes out of bounds. Point, George Mason. 13-12 now in favor of the Patriots. I need to serve. Doug.
Good tempo in that quick set.
Oh, that one kind of caught Schunzel off guard there and just kind of hit him.
The George Mason defense is picking up right now.
Hanners, Barnes, and Collins in the front line for George Mason. Dug by Market, and then thrown down by Paul Fassauer.
That spot of the floor over there is taking a beating.
Sure is. An important point there to make sure that they didn't get more than a 2-point lead. As
there's a replay of that. Fassauer was way up. Great set by Schunzel.
Hanners to Barnes.
Middle offense, Justin, is becoming a big part of this contest. I think both setters, with the exception of Jason Wright, both setters aren't all that comfortable with their outside hitters right now. We've seen Market and Tegetov struggle a little bit, but the middles right now for both teams are on fire, and this match has taken on a very physical presence, and all 4 middles in this match are being really well established.
Barnes trying to match the Ball State players by putting a hole on the other side of the floor. Don't want to be left out.
Well, we're going to redo this floor this May, so we can dent it up tonight. That'll be quite all right with all of us.
Right there, as we see that Denmark slamming it down earlier there.
And he's been cutting the ball back the other way. And in that shot there, chose to hit the power angle shot, we call that, which is an alignment with your body. And he's showing that he's got all the shots, and I think that's exactly why, of all the Ball State players, and maybe all the players that I've seen out of the East and the Midwest this year, he has probably the most potential to play on the international level. I think that you could look for Matt Denmark to be in our Olympic team someday. If he chooses not to become a doctor first.
I wouldn't be surprised at that at all. Ball State has yet to get a block this set.
Out of the back row, Weindell.
And for that matter, George Mason doesn't have one either. So Schuntzel to serve. The Hanners to Barnes again.
Once again, middle volleyball.
George Mason now wanting to get Barnes in the action, just as Ball State has been trying to get Denmark in the action.
Jason Wright has rotated up now for the Patriots, along with Barnes. That's a pretty formidable lineup that they have at the front row, and Ball State attacks it. Weindell has really caught fire for Ball State.
He puts it down, and the Cardinals are within 1. As Market will attempt to serve. Hopefully he'll get a better serve than he had last time. And that was a good serve. Hanners to Mello. Counted. And George Mason will serve. It'll be Barnes.
Got to clean up a little spill over there.
Yeah.
It's the time of the match when the guys are perspiring pretty heavily.
And again, thing I've noticed from past games I've gone to, Doug Market that's supposed to be a big thing for him because he's the one that always seems to ask for the towel.
I've heard it as almost a great dig, but yeah, I've heard some of the Ball State guys comment on his perspiration.
Oh, so he's just cleaning up after himself.
I think he's noted for that.
Denmark to serve now for Ball State. And that might have went out, but they played it anyway. Mello. And Denmark tried to dig that one out just a little too hard. Point George Mason. It's now 18-16 in favor of the Patriots.
Getting close, I think, to that magical number of 20.
Yes.
Where this match is going to take on a very intense turn because Ball State cannot afford to go down 2 games to none.
George Mason won the first set 30-27. Tegetov. And Market couldn't get it over the net. And there's that 3-point lead I was talking about that's kind of crucial that each team don't let the other team get.
When you have a 3-point lead this late in a game, you can play side-out volleyball, and in our old terminology of side-out volleyball, and win. Might have been a foot fault there, no call.
Definitely I think was a foot fault there, but
Jason Wright, nearly a solo block there, and we've called his name a lot tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We could look at his line last night is awfully impressive. He went for 17 kills last night in a 3-game match and hit 520 as we see that block again by Jason Wright. By himself, by the way.
At 6 foot. I'm taller, I'm 6'1". I don't think
You could put your and mine jump together and we couldn't come up with his.
And here's earlier when Barnes put a hole in the floor.
Barnes has an interesting arm swing. It's hard to read because he almost brings that swing from his hip and kind of windmills the ball.
You don't know what he's going to do with it.
Exactly. That's used to be used back in the 70s, maybe even the 60s.
Ball State talking this one over. Don't want to let this one get out of hand. You don't want to say that it's out of hand already. I mean, they can obviously still come back and win this, but
Well, based on what happened last night in that kind of intense match, a 5-gamer tonight would be asking a lot of the Cardinals, but those are the kind of gut checks that a coach likes to see his team have, and I'm sure that Joel would relish at this stage of the game playing a 5-gamer.
Mello to serve. Schunsel to Weindell. He gets blocked. Combination of Collins and Clanny on that one.
Right now, George Mason playing with all the energy and emotion that you need to win a big match like this.
And
but they're making the plays that allow you to be energetic and emotional. Stuff blocks will do it.
And that was set up real well. You hope that didn't take out some of the heart of Ball State. As we see a service error, though, that gives Ball State a second chance. As Weindell will serve now.
Weindell for the Cards.
Dug by Collins. Hanners to Clanny.
More nice middle offense by Mason. It seems to be with them right on the outside and anybody in the middle. Formula for success. And Ball State is trying to find some success on their own outside.
Right to serve. Hall to Schunsel to Weindell.
Weindell comes through.
And he knocks that one down.
Hits the back row D set. Ball State needed that desperately. Now it's time to play some defense, stuff block a ball maybe.
Definitely. As we're going to clean up the floor on the other side as Tom Tegetov gets ready to serve out of St. Louis, Missouri.
Men's volleyball, not a popular sport here in Indiana, or boys volleyball, I should say. So we recruit out of Canada, out of Missouri, out of Wisconsin, out of New York, Puerto Rico.
I was going to say it's not something that, at least around here, high school boys can get involved in unless they're on like a travel team.
Exactly, and I was lucky enough to play organized high school volleyball in Fort Wayne, Indiana. In the year after I graduated from high school, the sport kind of lost its luster at the high school level and then became more of a club sport.
Nice dig there by Clanny, but not that time. Schunsel puts that one away. Well, one of the players on the Ball State team, Josh Lee, is from Fort Wayne, Indiana. As Schunsel puts that one down right there, no prayer for Clanny on that one.
And Keith will, when you have to set balls all night and not get to take any swings, you love to take a swing as we see Barnes just continue to go off against the Cardinals.
And they're going to have to stop that eventually, or it's going to be a short night. But as I was saying, Josh Lee, there's no organized volleyball in Fort Wayne, so he had to be recruited through travel teams and club teams.
Whereas when I was in high school, we were able to play high school volleyball on a very competitive level. And then, in fact, my high school coach is Arnie Ball, who coaches IPFW. And then we were able to play club volleyball as well. So we played year-round.
And Ball State couldn't dig that one out.
Jason Wright again out of the D position in the back row.
A huge point there for George Mason as that puts them up 25-20. And Hanners will now serve. Schunsel to Denmark.
Great little one-hand set by Keith Schunsel. Thought he was going to attack or dump that ball over, and instead he went with one hand to Denmark, and Denmark put it straight down.
And that play was one where our height advantage showed because Denmark was so much higher than the George Mason players on that play. Market to serve.
Great serve.
Nice serve. Right again. Market couldn't dig it out.
Well, you said we had to stop Barnes, Justin, and what we did with two blockers was we double blocked against Barnes, and then Wright came in behind them on a combination play, we call that. And here's the replay. There's Barnes, we're up with Barnes, and then here's Wright with no blocker.
And that Ball State got fooled by that one too. Weindell dug that one out. Clanny, Wright, blocked. Oh, but it goes out of bounds.
That time we keyed on Wright and had two people on him, but he is one tough customer. Hit that ball hard off the blocker and out of bounds. I can't say enough about that little guy.
I've never seen a volleyball player that short be that dominant.
I wonder if I could, Justin, put a wig on him and get some eligibility on our women's team.
I don't know.
Most of our players are about 6 foot tall. He'd fit in that regard.
I don't know how we would feel about wearing the compression pants. That's we'd have to talk to him about that. Here's a replay of Wright. puts it in. Wendell was right there, but couldn't keep it in the field of play.
We did about everything right on that. But once again, Jason Wright was all right.
Yes. But
the shot of the crowd.
Good crowd here.
They could be home watching NCAA basketball tonight, and I got to give these people credit and thanks for coming and watching Ball State volleyball. You can always run a tape and watch your NCAA tournament a little later tonight. And if my wife was thinking of me, she's got the VCR running right now.
Ball State leads this series between George Mason. 23 wins against 17 losses to George Mason.
I've got to take credit for one of those losses. They beat us in the 1984 Final Four. And I think I can take credit for 3 of the wins.
Oh, well that's.
But the Final Four loss kind of eats at you. If I can still talk about that one.
Yeah.
27-22, Justin. It is time to get this turned.
And that also means it's time for Lopez. He comes in the game in the late stages.
Jump floater serve. There's a touch.
Got to put it over.
No attacker. We need that ball attacked.
Hanners. To Mello.
There's a stuff block.
Nice stuff.
Tegetoff got that ball.
Combination of Tegetoff and Fassauer on that one. Mello goes up, and there was Tegetoff.
Super block. All 4 hands acting as one, reaching across the net.
Another short serve. Right. And that one slides out of bounds.
All right. Wright was finally wrong.
Yeah.
And we pull within 3.
But man, your heart stops beating for a second when you see Wright jumping in the air with that ball. It's like, oh, where's this one going?
You're almost ready to call it as automatic.
Yep.
Well, we've turned it. We got this thing back to within 3, and you can strike within 3, but you can't afford any mistakes with them having 27 points. They can play side-out volleyball and win this one from here. We're going to have to really make some plays.
Ball State needs to get probably 3 points in a row here.
This is a good rotation for us to score in. Mason does have Wright up, but you would like to think that we can key on Wright, and you know, we're due to get him. We're due to put a block against him. I'm not sure we've stuff blocked him yet tonight. And for a guy that hits a lot of balls like he does, you'd like to think you can get him on occasion.
Well, Ball State coming off last night's big win. You're hoping that some of the emotion could go over, but it looks like more of the fatigue has gone over than the emotion.
Exactly, and fatigue is a very strong influence, as we all know, in anything we do, whether it's work, sports.
Lopez again. They're ready for the shorter serve that time. Mello. They said that was in.
And Mason went away from Wright and away from their quick middle attack, which they've been doing so well, and went back to Mello. And Mello, the left-hander, and put a good swing on that ball.
He's been just as effective as the inside guys. Schunsel to Wendell. Dug out. Wendell. Schunsel. Back to Wendell. And there was Collins.
Schunsel went to Wendell twice in a row there, and on the second swing, Wendell didn't get off the net and get a real good approach, and that's the only reason you'll see guys this big hit the ball into the net is if they don't get a very good approach.
And here's set point. Hall to Schunsel. Wendell again. And that one goes in.
I like the choice. Schunsel, like any good setter, went back to a hitter who just made an error, and that's awful good for a hitter's ego.
Yep.
Give him a chance, and right there, George Mason went completely away from Wendell.
And Ball State's keeping this game alive so far. Hanners. Oh! I thought Hanner was going to get that, but he didn't get an opportunity. Paul Fassauer was there to just stuff that one home. And that's 2 straight points for Ball State. And Frank Chow wants to call a timeout.
Obviously, with
doesn't want to blow this one.
With George Mason sitting at 29 points, Fred Chow made a great timeout here.
Here we see a replay of this last play as Fassauer just once again showing the height advantage that Ball State has. And
Hanner sure tried to get a hand on that ball.
He tried.
But at 6'3", and 6'3" anymore at the setting position is a little bit on the short side. A lot of setters now 6'5", 6'6", 6'7".
I think even if he would have got a hand on it, it would have been a Ball State point because I think it was on the Ball State side of the net.
Well, no margin for error for Ball State at point 29.
Nope, they need 4 straight points without a George Mason score. So,
and you got to go back and serve tough. You know, you cannot take anything off of this ball trying to get it in because George Mason will just run great offense off of an easy serve and probably score. So here you want to put one of those serves on that's tough, but yet not so tough that it is a mistake.
Wendell's serve.
And he hit a good one.
Handers finds right. And that's not going to get dug out very often as George Mason wins the second set 30-26 after already having won the first set 30-27. So Ball State has a huge mountain to climb at this point. They will now have to win the last 3 in order to get this one done. We are going to go to a break. We will be right back after this. You're watching Ball State Men's Volleyball on WCRH Sports.
Okay, class, tomorrow night's college night. Think about your needs.
I need a well-respected degree.
I need to explore. I need a ticket to the world.
Ball State University, everything you need.
Ball State Sports Online. Schedule, result, headline, features, statistic, game note, team pages, video and audio clip, biography, email, Ball State links, daily updates. Your only online source for all the latest in Ball State sports. www.bsu.edu/sports.
Okay, class, tomorrow night's college night. Think about your needs.
I need to be inspired. I need personal attention from professors who care.
I need a kick in the...
Ball State University, everything you need.
Throughout the 1990s, Cardinal Varsity Club has provided hundreds of thousands of dollars to support Ball State student athletes in 21 sports, and their work has paid off handsomely. Among all NCAA Division I-A schools, Ball State ranks in the top 10 in athlete graduation rates and the number of GTE academic All-Americans, a distinction no other university in Indiana can match. Cardinal Varsity Club, helping Ball State student athletes achieve on the field and in the classroom.
And we are back live at Worthen Arena for this men's volleyball matchup between George Mason and Ball State. This game presented by WCRH Sports can be seen on Channel 5, Channel 57, and Channel 43 live. So I am Justin Herber. We are alongside the coach, Randy Litchfield of the women's volleyball team. And coach, what is Ball State going to have to do if they're going to climb this mountain and come back and force a fifth game?
Well, what most of us didn't get to see was what happened last night, where Ball State played a 5-game match, and George Mason played a simple, relatively easy 3-game match up in Fort Wayne. So we're seeing a much more rested George Mason team in a what looks like a real fatigued Ball State team, and I was real kind of impressed by Ball State in warm-ups. It sounded like they had a lot of energy. We were trying to do our production and pre-show here, and we heard them behind us, and I sensed a lot of energy. But the second that whistle blew, it just seemed like we were a little bit flat. So I'm sure that Joel's back in the locker room and using whatever methodology he thinks is appropriate to get the Cardinals out of this little funk that they seem to be in. So I think it's just a matter right now of energy and And, you know, if you can kind of turn back the old clock and see what, remember how you did last night and how you felt and draw upon that, you're going to be fine.
Well, if we do have one thing on our side, it's the one thing we mentioned at the opening. Ball State doesn't lose too much here at Worthen Arena. They are 9-1 on the year. And if there's going to be a place where they're going to come back and make a game of this is the building.
Well, as we talked about before, my money's on the ball jar, not the Mason jar. A lot at stake here tonight. We'll see how.
As we see George Mason get the block there, that's pretty much been the story, an unexpected story of this game. And there's Jason Wright with the game point there of the second set. Pretty much just a repeat of what he's been doing this entire game.
We've called his name an awful lot. And
how many kills does Jason Wright have?
I believe he's got 17 for the, I'm sorry, 16 for the match.
16 for the entire match.
But he's been one impressive player. He's their emotional leader. He's their go-to guy. And I've also been impressed, you know, and I thank George Mason for doing this because I touted their defense early on. They turned their defense on in game 2. Now Ball State's got to get this match played a little bit more up at the net, and they've got to stuff block some balls, get the ball into Denmark's hands. We saw Denmark great early on there, and then kind of went away late.
He really did. We stopped calling his name towards the end of that.
Tonight we've been getting stuck with him out of the lineup when he goes to the back row, and that has caused some problems for us because we've really excelled with him up at the net.
Point George Mason. Schunsel finds Denmark there. And there was absolutely no way that ball was going to get dug out.
Now there's a 5 or 6 inch height differential there, and Matt jumps so high. He's one of the best jumpers that I've seen in a long, long time.
And Yari Delgado makes an appearance in the game for the first time.
There are some lineup changes. We're seeing Delgado in the match for Market.
And that's probably a much needed rest for Doug Market.
I would think so. I think he's showing some signs of fatigue.
Hall to Schunsel. And Denmark couldn't get that one over.
Got a little greedy trying to cut the ball back, and that's why somebody put that net there.
Yeah, I think just tried to put too much on it and didn't get enough on it.
Josh Hall making a good pass
with the off speed. Oh, that one would have been out of bounds.
You'd like to have that point, but you never fault a guy for hustling and working hard in the backcourt playing defense.
Sure,
that ball might have been out, but Delgado was hustling, and he may make a play for us down the stretch here.
Yeah, you can't fault him for his effort on that one. But if he could see it from my vantage point. As we get a point there. A nice kill for Ball State. Denmark to serve now. Hanners puts it over himself.
Probably a mishandle there that was allowed.
Yeah, that didn't. It looked a little unorthodox to me. You're our resident expert there, though. I didn't.
Well, some of the new rules in volleyball, the first contacts on the side of the net, a lot of different stuff is allowed. It's hard to find anything to call, but on a second contact, we're seeing White hit one out of bounds. But second ball contacts are supposed to be very clean, and it looked like Hanners mishandled that ball.
It really did.
But it all comes out in the wash, and Ball State's on a little run here.
Cool.
Back into the game.
I just think Wright had too much.
Nice block by Tom.
That was a nice block there. Tegetov has been getting blocks this game.
He positioned his body on the line shot there, and by all indications looked like he was going to block line. And then
Mello tries to go up, but there was Tegetov right there.
And Tom dove inside there and took away that inside shot.
Denmark to serve. And we have a service there.
All right.
He wants that one back.
Yeah, Matt got us a point run there, though. Matt ran us, I believe, 3, maybe 4 points.
And he will now take a seat on the bench.
But he's got it evened up at 5-5, and it was 4-2. Combination play.
And that was just a little bit too much for Barnes to handle as Tegetov Puts it right over.
Wonder if Barnes' first name is Chester, because that's right where he caught that ball at. It's supposed to hit you on the forearms, not the chest.
It just was coming over too fast. Hanners.
That would be a back row attack or a lift. That's first referee, Patty Salvatore, called a lift instead of a back row attack. But in this rotation, Jonathan Hanners is back row, and he's not allowed to go above the level of the net and play a ball over.
And Fred Chow wants a timeout, and he's going to talk this one over. He doesn't. I'm sure if you're the team that's up 2-0, you don't want to play a fourth game. You want to get it over with in 3. So he's going to have a talk with his team here, and
this is absolutely in volleyball in a 3 out of 5 game contest as we see this play over again. There's the chest shot, maybe more like the stomach. But this game after
Schunsel to Denmark. That's from earlier.
Yeah.
He puts that one down.
When you're ahead 2-0, winning the third game is by far the most difficult win. The other team gets a little desperate. You get a little bit back on your heels, and we coaches anguish because of that. But that's the simple fact of volleyball. So Ball State has some advantages in this game.
And another service error by Ball State as Windell could not get that one over the net. I just think it would, if you're up 2-0, I think it would just do something for your, emotional side, because you got to go out and do it again. And I think it's advantage for the team that's down 2-0
Exactly.
if they win the third game, obviously.
Desperation is an amazing thing.
And a nice little off-speed Tegetov.
There's White again. Single block.
Out. Tegetov mixing it up there. One soft, then comes back hard, but George Mason was right there for the block and to keep that one alive and then up getting the point.
Mason sure scrapped for that point.
Yeah, that was an ugly point, but they will take anything they can get.
You suck.
Tegetov again.
Good save by Tom Tegetov. He had nothing he could do with that ball.
Collins couldn't get that one over the net. Point, Ball State.
Well, sometimes little things make big differences in matches like this, and Tom Tegetov got to a real bad set there. Played it over the net as best as he could and allowed George Mason to make the mistake.
And now he's going to serve it. Right. Dug out by Windell. Yari's going to have to put it over. He does. Right again. Blocked this time.
Delgado, another small guy. 2 small guys going at it out there.
Schunsel.
Great choice by Keith Schunsel.
Collins puts it over for Windell. And it goes out. And Ball State gets the point. They lead 9-7.
Right now, the matchups are very interesting because we've got Delgado and Wright with George Mason matched up against each other.
As you saw the play right there.
Exactly.
Anders goes the other way. And the little guy, Yari Delgado, gets up. Little guy versus little guy there. And our little guy won.
Well, I like the fact that Joel went with Delgado here. And I'll bet he didn't know that the matchup was going to work out like it did.
And Collins right there to put that one over. Point George Mason.
The block there did not quite get over the net enough, and it came down our side.
They were too far away from the net.
Exactly.
It almost looked like they.
You want to reach over as far as you can without getting in the net.
As far as the law allows. Hall to Schunsel.
Delgado.
That is powerful. As Yari Delgado gets the kill, there was nobody going to dig that one out either.
Call that a left side cross or a left side combination play. He followed the middle blocker in. The middle blocker drew our middle hitter drew their middle blocker, and we had an open swing at the court.
Collins gets blocked. Windell tries to save it. And Delgado just gets it over, but just enough for Ball State to get that one over the net.
Yeah, you'd like to throw that one deep into the backcourt because the Mason guys anxiously awaited that one at the net and got a freebie out of it.
The slam dunk for George Mason on that one.
Good pass by Hall.
Windell. George Mason got a piece of it, keeps it alive. Cullens.
Pretty good block. We're just not quite getting that thing turned.
It landing just out of bounds. If we 3 or 4 of those, you know, if they get up there for the block, but if we just get it 1 inch closer. Schunsel decides to take it himself. George Mason digs it out. Cullens gets blocked by Denmark.
That's a
Point
block.
Ball State. It's a nice play there by Matt Denmark.
I'm watching Schunsel very closely here, and he's got a little attitude.
And
I
saw
say
Denmark get up there.
Exactly.
Showing his height on that one. Cullens again.
And I don't want to leave my comment about Schunsel hanging that he has a little attitude. I happen to think he's got a little great attitude. He's a tough guy, and for a young guy, he's not afraid to mix it up. And you know, that's how a lot of us grew up playing this game of men's volleyball.
If I didn't see it in the media guide or on the roster, I wouldn't know he was a freshman. The way his poise he has out on the court. George Mason to serve now.
This is shaping up to be the best game of the 3.
Yes.
Denmark again.
Cullens couldn't dig that one out. Ball State gets the point. In this game, Chow has been calling Cullens' number an awful lot. We'll see if he's on the back row now. But and Delgado tries to get that one. It was just out of his reach. Point George Mason. Ball State and George Mason are tied at 13.
Well, Chris Barnes has put some real good swings on some balls tonight, and he decided to go with a soft shot there. And that thing hit, and Ball State hustled and hustled, but a great shot fell.
Jonathan Hanners. The short serve there. Hanners last night in the game against the Mastodons at IPFW had 47 assists. So he's obviously a setter, but that's an awful lot of assists.
Fred Chow likes him a lot, and I think last night what Jonathan Hanners had to do is throw the ball up to Jason Wright and let Jason carry him to the promised land.
Denmark to serve. Barnes, dugout. Schunsel. Take it off, dugout.
There's George Mason's defense shining there.
Right, out of bounds. Some great defense though by George Mason on that one.
And I think that's
timeout.
I think that's only the 6th attack error for Wright over there for George Mason, and that's as many balls as he swings at. That's pretty remarkable for a guy his size.
The George Mason Patriots like we said, have won 7 of the last 8, but the schedule hasn't been all that difficult. But you can't. I mean, they're still winning the games, and you got to play them. Easy opponents or not, they're still winning the games.
What's happened out
Here's
east?
a replay of Tegetov as George Mason tries to dig it out. Couldn't do it. Ball State got the point. Here we have a block from Delgado as the little guy blocked the little guy.
The 6-foot under league right there.
That's just incredible to me, those two. Incredible leaping ability. And Denmark is back to serve. It's Fred Chow giving his team some last-minute words of encouragement before he sends them out. Denmark with a nice serve. Hanners to right is blocked, but it goes out of bounds. Point George Mason. 15-15 as Chris Barnes will now step back to serve.
Hanners went right back to right in that case because he made the error going into the timeout.
Fast hour. Schunsel.
Mishandled call there on that set.
Yeah, that's an error there by Schunsel.
Ball State's a little upset with that because they feel like that might be a little bit inconsistent with a couple of the other calls that have been made tonight.
Fast hour. Knocks it down. He's now playing on the outside. Last year he was a middle attacker all year. They moved him to the outside, and he's putting up some incredible numbers. Wendell. Delgado couldn't dig that one out, and Ball State needs to be careful here. Can't let George Mason go on another run, or this game is going to be over shortly. George Mason already leads 2-0, winning 30-27, 30-26. Passauer gets blocked. Delgado, it's going to go over.
There's little Jason Wright up there again with one hand.
We got a rally going here. Hanners to Clanny. Wendell couldn't handle it. Well, earlier, Schunsel and Clanny stuffed themselves. They both hit the ball at the top of the net. Now Mello's going to serve. And George Mason has a 2-point lead.
Great pass by Hall, which you want your libero to be able to do.
Dug out by Hanners.
Oh, there's a
Clanny couldn't get it over.
There's a mental error.
Incredible dig by Hanners there. A tough shot. He gets it out, but Clanny couldn't convert. Ball State will serve again. Tom, take it off.
Like to see Ball State's emotional level pick up a little bit here.
As the service error, this take it off serve goes just long.
Ball State appears to me to be just a little bit down right now, and you really can't afford that. You've got to try to out-muscle about 5 or 6 points here and take advantage in this game.
That will help.
Look at Tom Tegetov's face, and he looks like he's ready to go. He's got to try to get that to rub off out there.
As Wendell's shot goes over, George Mason gets a piece of it, but point Ball State. Hanners with a nice set. There we go. But Ball State puts that one away. And just like that, they tied it up. Good emotion there by Ball State to make sure this game doesn't get out of hand.
I think Delgado will bring that to the Cardinals. There's a scramble.
Nice dig there by Wendell.
There it is.
And Matt Denmark.
With Denmark,
he is fired up.
There's that block again.
Seriously,
way over.
Ooh. Good thing the ref doesn't have instant replay, or that one would have been coming back.
Doesn't get much better than that. Well, we've seen Matt Denmark and Carlos Delgado really increase their emotion here, and they're making plays for the Cards, and the rest of the team starting to feed off of that. And the end result is we have a 20-19 lead here, and it really is crunch time for the Cardinals.
We are in the third set. I'm Justin Herber alongside Coach Randy Litchfield. Ball State leads 20-19. They lost the first 2 sets. Ball State did, that is. And they are trying to hang on here to force a Game 4.
Well, this would certainly be an important win for the Cardinals.
As we show that slam dunk that George Mason had after Ball State scrambled for it. And here we have Hanners. Oh, we're back to live action. Hanners to Clanny, blocked by Matt Denmark. And he's kind of in his zone right now, and Ball State needs to take advantage of that here on this offensive set here.
Well, we coaches talk about playmakers all the time, and people that can, with their individual play, can make a difference. And right now we're seeing Matt Denmark put this team on his shoulders.
Nice block
Delgado,
there.
Denmark again, Justin.
With the duo there of short and tall getting the block. Paul Fassauer to serve again. Hanners again to right. And that one goes out.
Net error.
Uh-oh.
That one's going to come back.
Man, there's an opportunity there for Ball State.
There's that stuff block.
It looks like Delgado got most of that one.
Yes, I think he did.
It hits the referee in the head. No, saved that one. Hanners to right.
D set to right. Oh, Denmark outsmarted, outfoxed him.
We got a little rally going here. Oh, that one was heading out of bounds. Dug out. Hanners to Collins. Dug out by Tegetov. Delgado with the kills. Mason was there to block it, but it flies out of bounds and nearly takes off Coach Litchfield's head.
I'm ready, though. I'm ready. Delgado hit that ball real low and actually caught the George Mason block in an awkward place right around the elbows. There's the replay of that. Hit him right down low around the elbows, and you can't control a ball that's on your elbows. You can only control a ball that's on your hands as a blocker.
Dug out by Ball State. Delgado again. And just
net error.
And they got a net error. Give the point to Ball State. And Ball State starting to take control of this third set.
Seeing a few net errors, Justin, because these blockers are trying to get a little something extra out of their jumps.
Oh!
Joust. And a net error.
And give that one to Ball State. Hanners didn't have much of a chance there. There was about 4 Ball State hands on the downward slope, and he was trying to go up with it. It's going to be Hanners to right. You might be able to stop that every once in a while, but it's not. You're not going to be able to do it consistently.
Hanners knew right where he wanted to go with that ball, too. Now we've seen for the first time George Mason behind the 8 ball a little bit.
Yeah. And a smart call by the referee as a
stray
volleyball was about to roll onto the court, so she stopped it.
Ankles and volleyballs rolling on the ground,
And
don't mix.
There's Hanner just getting stuffed right there on that play. Schunsel to Weindel, blocked. Weindel kept it alive. Oh, and that one faked me out. I was about to say he was going to give it to Barnes.
A great soft tip, and that's not a shot used much in men's volleyball. They'll usually go up and drive the tip to the floor, but that was a very strategic play, and they needed it.
Collins to serve.
Hall with a great pass. Hall has passed nails here tonight.
That's just perfect. It goes right to him.
And that's why he wears that red shirt. That's his job. Pretty much of an unsung hero type role.
Delgado with a hard serve.
There's a mishandle.
That one's not going to count. Let's cut at the point to Ball State, and they are in the driver's seat in this one, leading now 27-22. Yari Delgado to serve.
Delgado's played real well, and he drops the bomb on that serve.
Couldn't get to that one in time. It was a nice kill there by Mello. And it's now 27-23 as Hanners will serve.
Mello's had a nice match for Mason so far. We talked a lot about Wright, but Mello's been there
All
too.
with a perfect pass again to Weindel. And Collins couldn't dig that one out. Point, Ball State.
All the Cards need right now is some side-out volleyball. They can take some chances with their serve as long as they come back and pass, set, and attack for kills.
And we got a substitution for Ball State as Juan Carlos Lopez out of Carolina, Puerto Rico will come in to serve. Another short serve. Hanners to Mello. Ball State couldn't dig it out.
Nice block with just a better shot. That was an incredible swing.
And now Chris Barnes.
Here's where Ball State just passes. Schunzel sets. Swing for a kill and a point. Great pass. Combination play.
And it's dug out by George Mason. And that one's not going to work. Give the point to Ball State. You're not allowed to hit it twice.
For the first time tonight, Justin, we've got the crowd up on their feet.
As Ball State has game point. Wendell will serve. And a nice serve by Weindel, but
Jason Wright just made this game last a little longer. I think it's going to end right here.
Here we go. Is
Schunzel's directing his offense.
Andre Mello will serve for the Patriots. 29-25 Ball State.
Might have been a foot fault again. He was real close down there.
And a nice block by Keith Schunsel. And a good way to end that game as Ball State takes the third set, 30-25. Keith Schunsel, the freshman.
There's that again. Overpassed the ball and Schunsel came out of nowhere.
As Wright kind of had a height disadvantage there. We'll be right back for the fourth set. You're watching Cardinal Men's Volleyball on WCRH Sports.
Okay, class, tomorrow night's college night. Think about your needs.
I need to be challenged. I need to be my own boss. I need to be his boss, too.
Ball State University, everything you need.
Hello, I'm Frank Sabatine, and I'm looking for a few good teachers. Teachers who want to renew their license or complete a graduate degree. Through Ball State University School of Continuing Education and Public Service, we have everything you need to complete your studies without leaving your community. Our distance education program offers live satellite, online, or face-to-face courses offered at local high schools throughout the state. So call us or take a look at us on the web because Ball State University has everything you need.
And we are back here at Worthen Arena. Ball State just won the third set of this game, 30-25 after dropping the first two, 30-27, 30-26. I'm Justin Herber along Coach Randy Litchfield of the women's team. Coach, do you think Ball State has a chance now?
Well, they've got the certainly got the match turned their direction. What we saw in that game was quite simply Matt Denmark. I can't say that name enough. 12 kills in the game, 53%. Goes for 5 stuff blocks. That's an impact player right there. And then you add to it Kyle Windell, who had another big game in a little bit more a quiet fashion. When you see Matt Denmark throwing his fists around and as jubilant as what he is, Kyle's a little more quiet with his game, but nonetheless a real nice performance. But this match has now played at the net a little bit more, and I feel like Ball State has some advantages there. And the longer we can keep Jason Wright in this match, jumping as high as he can and getting tired, I think the better things work for us.
And one thing that we talked about earlier is that Ball State has caught up on the blocks. They were way behind on blocks. They have now caught up, and the digs are even. So
that bodes well for Ball State.
Yes, it does, because we didn't think that George Mason was going to be a blocking team, but they went ahead and they've been right even with us in the blocking category.
Number 16, you suck.
Well, when you're a little tired and you're a little flat and you've lost your aggression, the first thing that goes, in my opinion, is blocking. And of course, that's where we were suffering the most early on.
And this fatigued Ball State team after that big match last night, getting a second win in that third set.
Yeah, it's mental fatigue more than physical, and it's all going to come back. Barnes has had a really nice match.
And he gets the kill there. And
see
George
that
Mason
low,
takes the early lead.
And see that windmill arm swing again. Ball State hasn't got him solved yet.
Hanners to serve. Kill for Ball State. Matt Denmark puts that one down. And now we have serving Yari Delgado.
I think Yari was a big, as we see him serve it out of bounds. But
out of bounds.
Yari was a big part of that Game 3 win. He
yes, he was.
Came in, was emotional, made some defensive plays, a couple stuff blocks. He got Jason Wright, in fact, one-on-one, and that's the kind of thing that Ball State needed.
Schunsel to Windell, blocked. And it goes out of bounds, point Ball State.
Good swing. That time George Mason failed to push the block back into the court. You know, a lot of times in drills, we'll set up a blocking drill and we'll put buckets in the center of the court, and we'll try to block balls back into the buckets. What you're seeing tonight is a lot of balls blocked just out of bounds, a little wide.
And Denmark couldn't get the dig. A pretty hard shot there by Andre Mello.
The only chance that Matt Denmark gets to dig balls is right after he serves, because he does go out of the match for the libero position, Josh Hall. And he had his chance right there and couldn't come up with it.
No, the serve, a short serve. Hall digs it out. And a nice play by Paul Fassauer to get the kill. Ball State ties the game at 3. And now Kyle Windell out of St. Louis, Missouri. Another guy from St. Louis.
Great serve, great pass.
And Hanners couldn't get that one dug out. Ball State gets the point.
So again, there's Keith Schunzel playing the second ball and attacking it. Normally he would set that ball, and that might be a shot that he could use a little bit more of. I'm real impressed with how well he is with that shot. He's naturally left-handed and fits well.
Excellent serve by Windell. And Hanners was over the net. And that's going to be a point for Ball State. Windell's got a little run going here. See if he can keep it up. Another great serve. Hanners finds Wright. And that will end that little Ball State run as soon as he can find Wright in the corner.
Like the Energizer Bunny, that guy just keeps on going.
And now he'll serve. Dug
Good
out.
jump serve, too.
Saved. Yari Delgado gets it over. Right again. Blocked by the Ball State front line. Point, Cardinals.
Ball State knew what was coming there. Right there we see it. They had 3 blockers on that
Three
D
blockers
set.
up. There was no way that was getting through. I don't care who's hitting it. And the other half of our St. Louis connection to serve. Just barely gets a piece of it. Hall with a nice pass.
D set.
Hall again. Finds Delgado. He gets it over for a free ball. Nice block by Fassauer. This will be Collins. I thought it took the Ball State player, but Ball State gets the point.
Did not. He just hit it real flat, kind of almost like a serve ball, and it went deep. This match now is being played at the net. It's very physical in its nature, and that favors Ball State all the way.
And Paul Fassauer puts down the kill.
Just a little wide. That was a great swing and a better set. Schunzel faked the left-handed attack like he just did about 2 minutes ago, and instead chose to go to the middle set. Paul just missed wide.
My apologies. I didn't know that went out. Delgado, he gets blocked. Well, the opposite happened to us there. Our short guy got blocked by some of their taller players. I need to serve. Dug out by Hall. Schunzel to Delgado again.
Right back to Delgado. Once again, Schunzel shows the confidence in his hitter that just got blocked, gives him a chance again, and Carlos comes up with a big kill.
And now Paul Fassauer will serve. It's a nice serve. Hanners takes it himself this time, but this time it comes back to bite him as it goes out of bounds. Fassauer will serve again. But first we have a substitution for George Mason. Dave Egan comes into the game, and Hanners is going to take a seat. So the leader of the George Mason squad takes a seat for the first time tonight. Fassauer serves. And Egan comes in and right away makes a nice set.
Well, we see Hanners over there on the bench sitting right next to Coach Chow, and I'm sure he's getting some valuable information. Attaining some knowledge, we like to call it.
Schunzel to Windell. It's blocked.
Big block.
Andre Mello right there for the block. It's Coach Chow giving some instructions to Hanners.
Dave Egan, this new setter for George Mason, is 6'6" and is only a freshman.
That's what we were saying. You know, they had a guy who was 6'6", but hadn't seen any action, and now he's in the game. So
he's from Toronto, Canada, and undoubtedly has a lot of volleyball in his background. The Canadians love our sport.
And there's a kill there for George Mason. Ball State couldn't dig it out and flies into the crowd, cover the kids. And Egan will serve now for the first time in this match.
The jump floater.
It goes over for the free ball. Just waiting for a George Mason attacker to slam that one down.
Wright's had to work for a lot of his swings tonight. That time he got a freebie. He had
Not that one.
No blockers, just floor.
I don't think Ball State meant for that ball to go over the net, but it did, and we play on. Windell gets a facial on that one. Barnes blocks it right back at him.
Barnes is back involved in this match.
And a little grimace there from Kyle Windell as he takes a shot in the face. Schunsel. Schunsel again. Delgado. Back to Windell. Blocked out of bounds. As Coach was referring to earlier, they go right back to a guy who maybe might be down on himself. And
well, I think that's so important. You don't want to do it every time because then you become pretty predictable. But
yeah. And Tom Tegetov using his height there to put that down that kill, and Ball State now leads 12-11. Yari Delgado to serve. Man, that's a wicked serve. Egan to Cullens.
Oh, we had that one.
I don't know what happened. I don't know how that one got by.
We just had a little separation from the net, maybe 6-8 inches, and the ball snuck down. And rest assured, when there's a gap in the block, for some reason, the ball always finds it.
Off the shoulder of Delgado. Barnes digs it out. Egan with Cullens is blocked by the Ball State front line. Combination of Denmark and Windell.
Well, I got to say, games 3 and now games 4 are shaping up. They've been very nice games.
There was Denmark and Windell right there to stop that one. Denmark going to serve now. Dug out by Shinzo.
Got a touch. Led by Schunzel's defense there, and you like to see that. The Ball State has not been noted as a defensive team over the years. Much more offensive and blocking in nature. But
that was a tough shot to dig out by Schunzel, and he got it done.
No, you got to dig in and hope you don't catch that one in the nose.
Nice serve by Denmark. Schunzel. That one goes. No, it is in. I thought it.
Yeah, another.
It was a tip.
High off the fingertips.
Ball got tipped. Point Ball State. And we have a timeout for George Mason. So as we see Ball State here with a 15-12 lead, have a real good chance of putting this into a 5th and final set.
Well, you'd like to go into game 5. You know, you've got all the momentum. That's the problem with winning the first 2 and ended up in a 5-game match, is that obviously your momentum's bled off as we watch Tom Tegetov go high off those fingertips.
Just caught some fingertips of some green and white jerseys. And there's Yari Delgado putting one down, helping Ball State to this 15-12 lead.
At about 2/3 of the way through that third game, I was voicing my concern about Ball State's emotional level, and you know what we saw was Matt Denmark catch fire and Carlos Delgado make some plays. And
here's Schunsel to Windell. And
not as good a result there.
Back in his face. Well,
but we saw this match turn back on when I thought the emotions changed.
And that one just went out. But Windell recovered nicely from that. He didn't. That wasn't a factor at all.
No, that's going to happen if you play this game enough.
Yeah. It's probably happened to him several times before. Andre Mello going to serve now.
You just walk over to your setter and say, "Give me the next ball." Oh, great set!
Just a perfectly placed set. by Keith Schunsel.
I don't know if that was as much a set or a self-defense maneuver.
Yeah, a little bit of both. He just kind of wanted to get it over in that direction, but it turned out for the best for the Cardinals.
The ball is heading right for his chops.
Right, dug out by Weindell. Egan finds Wright again.
Wright does not have the same legs that he had early on. He's
showing some signs, yeah.
He's hit a lot of balls, but the reason coaches like big players out on the floor is because they don't have to jump as high every time to be effective. And Jason's got to get everything he's got out of those legs.
Nonetheless, it got the job done. Hall send that one over the net. Probably didn't mean to. Schunsel finds Tom Tegetov with a kill. Ball State now leads 17-14. That was just coming in a little too hard for anyone to possibly stop. Here he gets a good height and bam. No one getting that one. Egan to Cullen.
Close on the block again.
Almost. But not enough, as George Mason will now take the serve. Schunsel to Fassauer. And Ball State looking real impressive right now. Paul Fassauer will now serve. Fassauer out of Hoffman Estates, Illinois. Egan's finds Cullen, dug out by Ball State. Oh, nice play by Schunsel. George Mason keeps it alive.
But it's Wright finding a way.
Yep. Delgado and Denmark were both there for the block, but it snuck through.
We put him on the Vertec right now and measure his jump. He would not nearly be where he was in games 1 and 2, but we're gonna find out. We're seeing what kind of competitor he is. He's finding a way to get it done.
Delgado to Schunsel to Delgado. And it goes out. Point, Ball State.
Good quick arm there by Carlos.
Now the freshman Keith Schunsel will come to serve. Nice block by Denmark. Back to right. It's going to be for Mello.
Lefty will have.
That isn't going to count. Referee now explaining to.
It was a 4-hit call because the ball that Barnes attacked came back and hit him in the head, and that does count as a contact, and a rather humiliating one at that.
Nice job by the Ball State front line. As George Mason tried to put that over the top, but Ball State front line just too tall, and we have a timeout.
There's that
Egan tried
blocked tip again.
Egan's going to have to get it higher than that with the Ball State front line.
Well, the freshman's used to probably seeing some smaller club guys up there in Canada blocking those balls, and now he's got the 6'8" and 6'9" Ball State team. It's a different league.
So Ball State has definitely found their second win from last night's battle with Lewis, and they came off slow, real slow in the first two sets, lost them, came back third, real impressive. They look like they're doing just the same as the third set in this one.
Exactly, right, yeah, playing it tight to the middle of the game and then taking advantage late and pushing out. But you know, I always thought it was tough, and I still do, when you get in the middle of a league schedule and you're fighting for a league championship and you step out of the league and play a match like this, the motivation level is completely different. You got to work your way into these matches, and that's exactly what we've done tonight, just to a T. We've worked our way into it, and now we're competitive, and you like our chances now.
George Mason plays in the EIVA, the Eastern Intercollegiate Volleyball Association. Right again, saved by Ball State. Oh, that won't work. Delgado hit the ball, and it was almost like he was a George Mason player.
Well, there is a new rule called an off-court pursuit rule that says, and I believe the rule says he can go outside of the pole and make that play, but he can't go inside.
Yes. Ball State scored on a point like that last night. They were outside of the pole, and Market hit it over.
I was asking Coach Walton about that, and he said it happens about one time a match, so it's not a big factor.
Delgado with a nice serve. Egan to right with the off-speed one, and it catches Ball State off guard. Point George Mason.
Once again, Jason Wright is not the same physical presence that he was early, but he sure has the shots.
Since he is showing some fatigue, he hits the soft one. I mean, the last 3 times he's touched it, he scored a point.
Exactly.
So even though he's tired, he's still getting it done. Speaking of getting it done, Kyle Weindell throws one down. A nice kill. Ball State now leads 23-18. Matt Denmark to serve now.
George Mason's in that critical area right now. They've got to make something happen. Back to Mello.
Oh, that one, that's what kind of the plays you want back. You know, because it's kind of an ugly score right there.
Not a typical play in the men's game. Ball State can play side-out volleyball though now and win this game.
Andre Mello to serve again. Dug out by Ball State. Schuntzel finds Paul Fassauer with the quick set. He didn't float it up in the air. He got it over to Fassauer rather fastly, and I think it caught George Mason off guard.
Schuntzel was moving away from his hitter there and just threw it back to the middle, which you got to love the idea of taking that kind of a risk.
Egan's finds Wright. But that time Wright had no elevation at all.
And he got his approach, his steps mixed up there, and actually had a rather bad jump at that one. There, as we see that one again, he chopped his feet there. And
yeah, it was like some sort of
a stutter step, a little bit early, a little bit under it.
He didn't time it out right. Here is Weindell to serve. And that was a freebie pretty much for Ball State. It's a great serve.
I'm wondering now what point in time Fred Chow is going to go back with Hanners.
Right there, as you saw Mello just barely get the ball over, and George Mason was pretty much just sitting ducks on that one, as Fassauer was just waiting on it. You are live at Worthen Arena. We are broadcasting this game live on Channel 5, Channel 43, and Channel 57. I'm Justin Herber alongside the coach, Randy Litchfield of the women's team. And right now the Ball State Cardinals lead the George Mason Patriots 26-19 in the 4th set.
The energy level here, Justin, is completely different than it was, I put it maybe about 30 minutes ago. I thought Ball State was out of here.
Tegetov puts that one down there, and just right there is just an example of what Ball State's been doing this entire set.
We looked like we were on our way home, and
it really did. I thought it was going to be an early night for us, Coach. But
this is a crazy game. You coach it, you end up with a hairline like I've got.
Well, the Never Say Die Cardinals are right in this match right now as Kyle Weindell will serve. Mello to Egan. Collins gets it over the net.
Broken play for Ball State. Oh, they didn't get a good swing out of it.
They dug it. George Mason dug that one out. This one should, oh
wow.
Schuntzel decides to take it himself when, I don't know if that was designed, but it looked like Fassauer was in a better position to knock that one over. Here is, right there is, as you saw, Fassauer was coming up. It looked like that would have been the better choice for Schuntzel, but
Schuntzel took his chance, and good time for it. We're up 6 late in the game.
We've got a 27-20 now in favor of Ball State. We want to thank everyone for joining us on Channel 5, Channel 43, and Channel 57 for this WCRH sports presentation. As Tom Tegetov gets ready to serve the ball for the Ball State Cardinals. Mello finds Egan. And point for George Mason. Dave Egan's still in the game. We were wondering if Fred Chow was going to go back to Hanners. He didn't do it. I bet if this goes to a 5th game that we'll see Hanners in the game.
I would think so. Unless Coach Chow is particularly unhappy with something.
Yeah, something we might not know about. But There was a kill for Ball State as Wright couldn't get enough on that one, and it flies over and nearly hits his coach. 28-21 as Paul Fassauer sets to serve. Egan's finds Cullen.
Great touch, controlled block.
Schunsel. Good volleyball there. Excellent volleyballs.
Controlled block, a dig, a nice set to Delgado, and Delgado delivered.
Schunsel finds it.
Look at it.
With excellent elevation.
Yeah, and a big split block. Barnes didn't close to the outside there, left a gap, and Delgado knew what to do with it.
And it's game point Ball State. Egan's to Barnes. Out of bounds. Ball State wins game 4. 30-21. So Ball State has climbed that mountain we spoke of as they were down 2-0, have now forced a pivotal game 5. We'll be right back with the exciting 5th set. You're watching Cardinal Men's Volleyball on WCRH Sports.
Okay, class, tomorrow night's college night. Think about your needs.
I need to be challenged. I need to be my own boss. I need to be his boss, too.
Ball State University, everything you need.
Hello, I'm Frank Sabatine, and I'm looking for a few good teachers. Teachers who want to renew their license or complete a graduate degree. Through Ball State University School of Continuing Education and Public Service, we have everything you need to complete your studies without leaving your community. Our distance education program offers live satellite, online, or face-to-face courses offered at local high schools throughout the state. So call us or take a look at us on the web because Ball State University has everything you need.
And you are back at John E. Worthen Arena where the Ball State Cardinals have forced a game 5 by winning the 4th set 30-21. They fell down 2-0 and right now have an opportunity to win this match. I'm Justin Herber along with Coach Randy Litchfield, and we want to show people that after this replay here, as this was the game winner here, it was hit, it was blocked at the net, but it went out of bounds, and Ball State won the game. There was a hit by Kyle Weindell. Anyway, what I was about to say was that the 5th set is a little different than all the other sets, Coach.
Well, it's kind of a winner-take-all, high-risk type product, and we're going to see a 15-point rally game instead of 30, and it goes real quick. It lasts maybe 6 to 8 minutes. So you got to come to play. You got to get off to a good start. You cannot afford to give away points early, or else you're probably going to lose the match.
Every point is crucial. With you can't have any service errors. Definitely, that's in a 15-point match.
We think if you're playing decent volleyball that you're allowed 1, no more than that. Statistics show if you have 2 or more, you're probably going to lose the game.
And now the freshman Keith Schunsel.
Hanners is back in the lineup for George Mason.
Just as we predicted.
Kind of thought would happen. But Ball State has all going for them right now. All the momentum in the world. You can set your rotations how you like them here and feature your best rotations at first.
Right. Delgado was there, but he was just kind of the wall for him to hit, and it bounced way out of bounds. And George Mason takes the early lead.
Delgado was by himself there, had no help, and actually got a pretty good touch in the ball, but right too good.
Weindell gets blocked. Delgado keeps it alive. Schunsel to Weindell again. Point Ball State as it goes out of bounds.
Nothing decided yet, 1-1.
It's now a 14-point game. Delgado to serve, another great
Really
serve.
good serve by Delgado.
Anders to Cullens. Dug out. Maybe. Nope. Give Cullens the kill. That one looked like it hurt Schunzel's hand a little bit. He's shaking it off.
That was hit pretty hard, and I'm not sure how it caught him. That volleyball is not exactly soft.
No. Schunzel finds Denmark. And it's now a 13-point game as the score is tied 2-2. And Denmark will serve.
You'll see more perspiration on the floor in this game, maybe more than any other, and in effect it's used as another timeout.
Yep. These guys are tired at this point.
If you feel like you need a breather, you feel like you need to break some momentum, you get down on the floor and you waller around and get some water on it.
But there's a nice kill by Barnes.
He's got to be frustrating the Cardinals because he is so unorthodox with that swing that very difficult to stop.
Really been a thorn in the Cardinals' side tonight. And Hanners will serve.
Hanners has got a little rest, and that may be what Fred Chow is doing with him, is just letting him relax a little bit.
And Schunzel throws it over there for Paul Fassauer.
There's the first little separation. We've got 4-2 Mason.
Just out of bounds, though. Hanners to serve again. And a nice kill by Kyle Weindel. And now he'll go back to serve.
Jason Wright has rotated to the front row for Mason. We'll see if he doesn't get a ball here. And he does.
And he sure does. But way out of bounds. You know, both these teams are tired, and Ball State would be expected to be more tired. But right now, looks like George Mason is showing more of the fatigue, and that has a lot to do with momentum and adrenaline, because Ball State's won the last 2 games.
And I just think physical size. The rule of thumb is the smaller you are, the higher you have to jump. That's 4 hits.
Yep.
Ball hit Barnes on the way up.
And he didn't mean to hit it. It just accidentally brushed him. But it still counts as a hit. Ball State scored the last 3 points and lead the game 5-4.
But in a long match, when both teams are fatigued, you would rather be in a situation where you don't have to jump. George Mason almost got caught running off the court for what they thought was a timeout.
And a kill there by the Ball State front line. Good awareness, though, by Ball State to realize, telling Weindel to go ahead and serve it. And there was the block by the Ball State front line. That gave Ball State the 5-4 lead.
We see Fred Chow just staring the officials down. He wanted a timeout.
Cardinals now lead 6-4.
And signaled for the timeout. The official didn't give it to him, and when his team saw him make the signal, they automatically started walking off the court. The officials are talking about it right now, but I don't think that one's going to come back, because if the timeout was not granted officially, it didn't happen.
Well,
sports update there. Southside wins the high school basketball championship.
Sure enough, Muncie Southside, 3A state champs. Congratulations.
Absolutely, that's exciting.
For the Rebels.
It's been a few years since Muncie's had a state championship, and they've had a bunch of them.
It's good to see us back on the map in high school basketball. Well, as the teams come back out onto the court, 6-4 Cardinals. This is a situation that George Mason hasn't been in often. They've won 7 of the last 8 games, and in all 7 of those games, they won the match 3-0. So that's another advantage for Ball State. I mean, they just played a game like this last night.
Exactly, and you made reference to George Mason's schedule strength, which is not very strong. Sometimes it's not a good thing to be in all those easy matches, and then you get caught in a night like tonight when it's a dogfight, and you have a tough time with it.
Barnes.
Good call.
That was a good call. It was.
Second contact there by Barnes was a little sloppy. And if you're a middle blocker and you put your hands above your head and try to act like a setter, the officials automatically tighten their mouth on the whistle.
Yep.
Really easy for them to call. Setters can get away with a little bit more usually.
Ball State leads 7-5.
Great play by their libero.
Hanners to right. And once again, maybe Wright all he needed was a timeout, because That was back to game 1 form on that one. Andre Mello to serve now for the George Mason Patriots.
Well, without Wright, they're not going to win this match. He's going to have to get it going.
Delgado with the kill.
That was Delgado against Wright, and Wright it was no match. Here it is again. Delgado by himself.
Look at that elevation.
Wright. No contest. Earlier in the match, Wright had the best of that matchup, no matter who he was going up against.
But there was
Here's the .8 side switch. This happens at the midpoint of each rally point to 15. So no team has a distinct advantage as to what side of the court they're on.
Fasauer to serve as Ball State is right in front of us now. That one goes out of bounds, and Ball State starting to distance themselves.
Jason Wright's had about enough tonight, I think.
A little bit of fatigue. Well, I mean, as I mentioned, they haven't had a 5-set match in a long time. And a little service error there by Paul Fasauer. Wright's going to serve now. Let's see what kind of strength he has on his serve, or if he's just going to kind of float it over there.
Well, he is going to the back row, and that'll help him a little bit because now he won't have to be such a big part of the offense, although they like to go to him in that D spot.
And a little sign there of fatigue as he has the left service.
Go to Denmark again.
Off speed by Delgado. Schunsel finds Windell. Give him the kill. Ball State leads 10-7. 2/3 of the way there.
That's
George
Fred
Mason's
Chow's
going to take a timeout.
And that's Fred Chow's second timeout in his last one. He's going to have to try to gut the rest of this one out with using his substitutions.
Here's the replay of Schunsel getting it to Windell. It was kind of a combination of Schunsel and Windell.
And we didn't see it in our picture there, but that ball was hit within 1 step of Jason Wright. He was very fatigued in his move to the floor to try to make that play.
Well, as we saw, as I was telling you before, they've had all these games where they didn't have to play anyone, first of all, anyone of any difficulty. They had one match against Concordia that went to 5 games, and that was their one tough opponent. They ended up losing that. But they haven't played a game that's gone to a 4th set other than that one since January the 26th against Penn State. So
that's a long time.
I mean, that is coming into effect right now because Ball State is really showing the upper hand at this stage of the game.
There's Wright with a good line shot that Hall handled well. I think Hall's played real well.
Oh, a nice play by Tagadoff. Dug out by George Mason. But Denmark is there, using his height to put it away. And Ball State can smell it now as they lead 11-7. Keith Schunsel to serve now.
Staying down with a serve.
And Ball State keeps it alive. Hanners finds Cullens. And we have a net violation by the Ball State Cardinals. Point, George Mason. It's now 11-8.
Well, Mason's got to make something happen with this service right here. 1, if not 2 points off the serve.
Hall,
rather conservative serve.
Yes, it was.
And they paid for it.
The front line got a piece of it, but it was just too hard of a shot by Kyle Windell. Yari Delgado to serve now.
That was not a conservative serve there.
No, he has just been serving the ball perfectly all night long. That one just got out of it.
But they're in good shape, though. They can afford that serving error there because Ball State can pass and run offense here and win this match.
Cullens to serve now for the Patriots.
It's George Mason that's gone with a little bit of a conservative serve. Ball State passes, runs offense to a tee.
Take advantage of it because they can just set it up perfectly, especially with his.
Here's a look at that again. Denmark was way up.
I mean, if you're just going to lob it over there, Hall is so good at just getting the ball perfectly to Schunsel that every time it's just going to be a freebie. Hanners now. And Barnes also not getting the elevation that he had earlier in the match. And it is now match point for Ball State.
Juan Carlos with a short jump serve.
And it goes out. Mello couldn't get it over the net. Ball State Cardinals make an unbelievable comeback and beat the George Mason Patriots 27-30, 26-30, 30-21.
And then 15-9 to end it.
And then 15-9.
Well, Coach Walton and Coach Furnish are going to be able to relax tomorrow. It's gonna. They've worked hard this weekend and got 2 wins out of it.
Unbelievable comeback by the Ball State Cardinals. And we're going to get Coach Walton here in a minute. But right there, we had Matt Denmark, getting in the point, and another point there by Ball State. And they just started to take over in the last 3 sets of this game. We will be right back to wrap this one up and talk to Coach Joel Walton when we come back. You're watching Cardinal Men's Volleyball on WCRH Sports.
Okay, class, tomorrow night's college night. Think about your needs.
I need a well-respected degree.
I need to explore. I need a ticket to the world.
Ball State University, everything you need.
Ball State Sports Online. Schedule, result, headline, features, statistic, game note, team pages, video and audio clip, biography, email, Ball State links, daily updates. Your only online source for all the latest in Ball State sports. www.bsu.edu/sports.
Okay, class, tomorrow night's college night. Think about your needs.
I need to be inspired. I need personal attention from professors who care.
I need a kick in the...
Ball State University, everything you need.
Throughout the 1990s, Cardinal Varsity Club has provided hundreds of thousands of dollars to support Ball State student athletes in 21 sports, and their work has paid off handsomely. Among all NCAA Division I-A schools, Ball State ranks in the top 10 in athlete graduation rates and the number of GTE academic All-Americans, a distinction no other university in Indiana can match. Cardinal Varsity Club, helping Ball State student athletes achieve on the field and in the classroom.
You are back at John Worthen Arena, where the Cardinals have come back to beat George Mason 27-30, 26-30, 30-25, 30-21, and then winning the 5th set 15-9. I am Justin Herber alongside Coach Randy Litchfield, and we have with us now Coach Joel Walton. Coach, congratulations on a great comeback.
Thank you very much.
Was there something that you told the guys at the end of the 2nd set that made them come out like that?
Boy, I wish I knew magic words to use whenever our guys were playing lackadaisical, but I certainly don't. I think more than anything, our guys just dug down deep inside and decided they were going to get out and play.
Did you think a lot of it had to do with the long match you played last night against a tough team in Lewis, that maybe you started out coming out, you were a little fatigued, and did that have something to do with it?
I'm sure a lot of it had to do with last night. Last night versus Lewis was a big emotional win for us. No matter how much I warned our guys about George Mason, it's just hard to get them to come out and play that second night in a row. And I knew, my assistant coach knew, and put a great scouting report together on Mason. We knew they were going to be tough. We knew they weren't going to come in here and roll over. And what they did last night at IPFW, beating them 3-0, that just showed that they're a very good team and they're capable of playing great volleyball. So I was disappointed with how we started, but I'm real pleased with how we finished.
Joel, I thought that Yari coming into the match in Game 3 was huge. Doug looked a little tired, a little fatigued, probably from last night. He had a huge night last night. I don't want the fans to all know that, but I thought Yari did a fantastic job. And then Matt Denmark, who I think is the emotion of the team.
He is.
Can you comment on what you thought what happened there in Game 3?
Well, after Game 3, or actually after Game 2, I was just looking at the stats. Tom Tegetoff and Doug Market were both hitting low numbers. I knew we needed to get somebody in there to do something for us. And as far as offense goes, Yari can do that. He can come in and just really pump up our team, get a lot of kills. So I was pleased that he came in. We also made the switch, moving Paul Fassauer back to the middle, and then Kyle Weindell came in. And Weindell just was clutch for us tonight. He hit 419, had 18 kills, and then gave us something that we don't normally expect out of Kyle, and that's defense. He had 10 digs for us tonight to lead our team.
Just an unbelievable performance by the full team all the way around. Was there a point sometime, like maybe in the fifth set, that you're like, hey, we can do this, or maybe even earlier?
Well, once we got momentum back in our side in Game 3, I knew we could do it. I knew it was going to be hard. It was going to be an uphill battle. It's just once you get to that point, it's a matter of playing every point one at a time and staying focused. And you can't lose that focus. With rally scoring, every point matters, and every mistake is really magnified. So once we got momentum on our side, I knew we could do it, and the guys just gutted it out and pulled it through.
Well, Coach, I want to congratulate you on the defensive effort tonight. I thought it was remarkable. And I think two big wins this weekend.
Yes.
Which we talked earlier, Jason and I did, about the fact that we're getting closer to NCAA tournament time and big matches, and these two matches this weekend are going to set you up great for that kind of play.
It's a big help, and the other thing it does for us, once we get down into the conference tournament, what we have to do is be able to play back-to-back nights. Yeah. And so that was another message to our guys this evening, and I thought they were ignoring me for a while, but finally it sunk in, and we came out and played really well to finish off the second night.
Well, thanks, Coach. We want to congratulate you on a great comeback victory tonight, and we will be right back to wrap this thing up after this short break. You're watching Cardinal Men's Volleyball on WCRH Sports.
Okay, class, tomorrow night's college night. Think about your needs.
I need to be challenged. I need to be my own boss. I need to be his boss, too.
Ball State University, everything you need.
Hello, I'm Frank Sabatine, and I'm looking for a few good teachers. Teachers who want to renew their license or complete a graduate degree. Through Ball State University School of Continuing Education and Public Service, we have everything you need to complete your studies without leaving your community. Our distance education program offers live satellite, online, or face-to-face courses offered at local high schools throughout the state. So call us or take a look at us on the web, because Ball State University has everything you need.
And you are back at Worthen Arena. I'm Justin Herber alongside Coach Randy Litchfield. As you have just witnessed, the Ball State Cardinals come from behind to beat George Mason in 5 games, winning the fifth set 15-9. As here we see Schunsel finding Denmark, who was just a key factor in tonight's game. Mark Denmark.
That combination right there, Justin, was big for us.
And here we find Schunsel to Tegetoff. Schunsel was just finding people tonight. I mean, if it was Weindell, Denmark, Tegetoff, whoever, he was finding them with some brilliant sets.
I think I've seen 4 matches now this year, and I think this was his best set match. And being a freshman, he should get better, every time he steps on the court, and he's got some qualities that you really love in a setter. He's a great leader.
It's scary to see what he's going to be like when his senior year comes around. And there's another play by Windell, and Ball State just had started off slow, but just came back and stayed focused. They didn't let it get away from them. I mean, a lot of teams would have crumbled at that situation, but the Cardinals stuck with it. And what was some of the key factors over there, Coach?
Well, I think you just alluded to it. I think that it's a kind of match that a coach loves to see his team deal with. We had some adversity early on. We were not sharp. We were playing against a team that appeared to be on top of their game and a team that was hot. From a coaching perspective, you like to have your team in those kind of challenges. And, boy, we answered the bell tonight. Once we got things turned in Game 3, and I thought Matt Denmark really took that on his shoulders, and Yari Delgado as well. Those two were a big part of it. Schunzel's play was big, and then, of course, Windell with 10 digs, and that's rare in a men's volleyball match. But, individuals came through tonight, and it led to a team win ultimately.
All right. So our final score, Ball State wins this one in 5 sets, winning the 5th game 15-9. We want to thank you for joining us on Channel 57, Channel 43, and Channel 5. This has been exciting Cardinal men's volleyball on WCRH Sports. Good night, everybody.